Okay.
I don't think we do we? Do we have three?
Yeah, we got four actually, or five actually. Goggin, Tom, Darlene, Mackenzie, and myself.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so I'll start out with the mission statement. Lewis County Economic Development, through its board, the IDA, and its brand Naturally Lewis, are championing the growth of a community where people want to live, work, build business, and play. We foster forward thinking and relationship building, connecting people, businesses, partnerships, and resources to effectively and efficiently grow our county. All right. So, Brittany, I don't know. I mean, you had mentioned some of the approval stuff, so I guess whatever.
Yeah, we can go through the list. Can you guys
Okay.
see on the screen?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Just making sure you can see the agenda on my screen share.
So we'll, all right, so we'll jump right into the items of approval. And so the first would be the March board meeting minutes, which were sent out in advance of the meeting for review. Did everyone have a chance to review those? Any comments, except for Goggin and the peanut gallery there? So.
No.
All right, a motion to approve.
Yes.
A second.
I'll
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. So the February financials, they were sent out as well. And Shai, have any updates?
No changes to what the Finance Committee reviewed at their meeting. In February, still a lot of pilots passing through. You see that on the profit and loss, as well as I had highlighted there the contract revenue from the county. Not only was it going to be more, but it actually hit our bank account in February or March instead of February. So that's why you see a deficiency there. And then I highlighted for the Finance Committee that our total income is tracking at and above what we expected for this fiscal year, and our expenses are low. So means our bottom line is very healthy right now, but it also means we need to start spending some money on the projects we intended to. The balance sheet, get back there. Again, a lot of pilot things passing through the checking account and the accounts receivable. So you see a lot of fluctuations there right now. Some of that sticks because Roaring Brook, their administration fee, one of their installments, hit the account this month or in February. So that one will stay. The actual pilot payments come in and then we pay them right back out. So those ones just pass through, but that was about $125,000 for Roaring Brook that will stay in the account. Going down to accounts payable, you see a big fluctuation there, even though the numbers aren't to the scale that the pilot numbers are. Again, that's pilots that were billed out and came back in, but they were the smaller one. I think we were still waiting on maybe Otis at the time of this mailing. And our other liabilities, that number looks like it's huge, but it's a negative, which is not necessarily correct. As we kind of skim off some of the stuff in QuickBooks that needed to be weeded out from ages ago, we find a little bit more. So as soon as tax season's going to have a session scheduled with North Country CPAs, and they're going to help me out in cleaning up a few more things in QuickBooks. Any questions on that? think we're looking for a motion to approve
Thanks.
those.
Yeah, thank you, Cheyenne. Motion,
I'll make a motion.
Kenzie, a
I'll
second.
second it.
Tom, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the Solitude Solar public hearings, and I believe there's some information in the packet, and we have Chris joining us as well. So what, Brittany or Cheyenne or whoever was gonna tackle this?
Before we get started with all these resolutions, I did provide an update of just where all of these solar projects and number 3 wind project is in our process. Can you see that on my screen?
Yep.
So there's a lot of projects going on, a lot of resolutions, just trying to clarify for you all where everything is in our process. So the Solitude Solar Martinsburg, the 2 projects that we are reviewing the public hearing resolutions today, they're still in the review phase at step 9. Solitude Solar, Lowville, 2 projects, Unit A and B on the Waters Road. They are currently at the public hearing stage, and actually those, it's listed on our agenda, but we are going to have to table that entire final resolution portion because we realized at the end of the day yesterday that the public hearing notice wasn't actually published in the newspaper. It was sent to the media, but it was never published. We held the public hearing, took our minutes, but unfortunately that public hearing does not count. So we're going to have to redo that this coming month. So we just decided to table that entire project until next month. But again, that Lowville project is still in the review phase under the public hearing section. And then moving on, number 3 wind, which has been in process since 2019, is in the adoption phase. We are currently looking at a sales tax resolution extension for today in hopes of the final resolution at our May meeting. And then obviously the Omni Navitas and Duke Energy projects that we approved last year, they are in the agreement stage of our process. So we're essentially, the ball's in their court, we're just waiting on them. Any questions on any of these projects and where they're at? Okay.
Thank you, Brittany. I mean, this chart has been very helpful, but I think having all of them on here is also helpful because like the Duke Energy, it's been a while since we've heard much about that. So just a reminder where that is great. So thank you.
Okay.
So with that, the items we do have and we talked about last month with Martinsburg and Glendale projects that, again, they were, Chris was working with the team to see how, they were justified in terms of their need of a pilot based on the progress of the projects. So that's all been worked through. And, again, so this step would be going forward with the public hearings, which would then, trigger the next steps in the process. So this isn't a final approval today. It's moving forward with the public hearings.
Right, so the developer had kind of argued all along that they thought they had done the process they needed to with us, more or less. And they provided pro formas that did verify that prior to starting any work on these projects that they had planned on this assistance. They planned on it at the rate that they had on their Turin project and on their Denmark project. They just apparently completely missed the boat on the process. So that kind of helped us be more comfortable that the but-for clause that this project couldn't be completed but for our assistance, that's satisfied and that we're comfortable moving forward with the pilot process on these. I think we've discussed as a board that we cannot grant a retroactive sales tax exemption, and so we're not moving forward with that piece. Both of these projects, the finance committee has reviewed, but just kind of high level. The Flat Rock project is 4.8 megawatts, obviously on the Flat Rock Road in Martinsburg. The Glendale project is right on the corner of the Glendale Road and Route 26 or 12, sorry. And that project is 1.8 megawatts. They're both, the pilot proceeds would go to the county, obviously the town of Martinsburg, and Glendale falls in South Lewis School, while Flat Rock falls in Lowville. Did I get that backwards?
No, you're right.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Tom.
Well, I was going to say, Cheyenne just summarized most of our finance committee meeting very well there, because the big deal was, in my mind anyway, was to whether or not to approve the sales tax. And with legal counsel, we pretty much decided not to, but to approve the pilot. So.
Thanks, Tom. Oh, we got Ron here now. Hey, Ron.
No, I'm in a meeting. So let me call you back.
All right. Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, Tom. Any other questions, clarifications, comments related to this?
Yes, so hopefully you've had a chance to look at the extremely large files. We have run this through the process that we've established with Lewis County Soil and Water to determine what the pilot rate would be according to our UTEP, with the discounts for using less than prime land and land that's not farmed. And if we go forward with the public hearing and we move towards approval of these projects, then Martinsburg Flat Rock Road would be at $5,305 per megawatt. And that's the larger project. The 1.8 megawatt project on the Glendale Road would be $4,868. That one's less prime land. So that's why the reduced rate there.
And thanks for sharing that. And I think it's, it's helpful to see how the process, how our equation is playing out here. And I mean, just knowing those parcels of land from an agricultural standpoint, it certainly makes sense.
So I think that's all I have, unless you want me to go into more detail. And again, this is just to set a public hearing. We'll have another chance to talk about this once the public can chime in.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, so I do believe that we need a roll call vote for this. Is that correct?
Yep.
So we'll start with the Flat Rock Road project in Martinsburg. Again, this is, we need a motion to approve the setting the public hearing, and then a roll call vote.
I will move it.
Tom, second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I might just comment that this is to move forward with the pilot only.
Correct. Right. Not right. This isn't nothing to do with sales tax. All right. All right. So going through who we have here today. Tom.
Yes.
Mackenzie.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Goggin,
Yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
and Joe is a yes, and Jerry is excused. Okay, now we have to do the same process for the Glendale project. Again, these are both in the town of Martinsburg, but we're identifying them as Flat Rock Road and Glendale Road. So this would be for Glendale Road. Motion to approve a public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Mackenzie, second.
Ron.
Ron, second. Any discussion? Ron, roll call.
Ye- Yes.
Mackenzie,
Yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
Goggin, Tom,
Yes.
Joe is a yes, and Kevin, or sorry, Jerry's excused. Sorry, I went in a different order. I'm just, people are moving around on my Zoom screen here. All right. So, all right, so as Brittany said, we need to table the Solitude Solar Wowville so we can re-advertise the public hearing and go through that process again. So the next one on the list is number 3 wind, and I see Marguerite just jumped on as well. So welcome, Marguerite.
Thanks, Joe. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I don't know who wants to.
So,
Right.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brett. You want to take it?
Sure. So at this meeting, all we are approving is essentially extending the sales tax resolution. So a little bit of history. We approved a sales tax exemption in June of 2019, and that resolution has expired or is soon to be expiring. So this resolution is simply just extending that exemption until the end of the year. And then what we're going to do at our May meeting is the final approval of the pilot for the number 3 wind project. Jai, anything else to add to that?
No, I think we are in good shape, just trudging through all the paperwork and we'll get there soon.
And this isn't unprecedented either. I mean, to have to extend these agreements, especially with the delays on the on the state level in terms of all the approvals for the project to move forward. So
Yeah, this doesn't necessarily mean we're granting any extra sales tax exemption. It's just that the project didn't happen in the timeline that everybody had predicted.
I might include that the finance committee agreed to move it forward too. So
Thanks, Tom. You got anything, Marguerite?
No, except gratitude that you guys have patience with us. And if you didn't notice, the trees have started falling down. Just very exciting.
I've noticed that on my travels.
Excellent. I believe all the trees that are going to come down are now down. So that's the end of work until July, when actual earthworks will start.
all right.
you need a motion on it?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will go ahead and make that motion.
Tom, a second.
I'll second.
Ron, okay. Any discussion?
Is this one a resolution as well?
Yeah.
Should be.
Yes, we will need a roll call.
Okay. All right. So I didn't hear any discussion. I guess we could put in here, this is where Tom mentioned that this was reviewed and the opinion of the finance committee was to move it forward. We can add that in. All right, roll call. My screen's changed around again. Ron,
Yes.
Goggin,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
Joe is yes. Jerry is excused.
Yes, too, Joe.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Mackenzie. Getting all confused here. Okay, so that wraps up the renewable energy portion of the program, I guess. So good to see things moving forward, and yeah, we'll be looking forward to more activity, Marguerite. So
Kindly, Joe, and all. Have a great day.
yeah, thanks.
Good day. And Chris,
Okay,
we're all set if you're all set.
All set. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good day.
thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Chris.
day.
All right. Okay, so now the last three items. The first one, my screen just went blank here. I think it was the marketing internship.
Yes, marketing internship. So we have interviewed 3 interns for this summer for our marketing and communications internship position. We have picked an intern. Her name is Kaylee Taball, and Joe, I don't know if you know who she
I know
is.
the thing. Yeah, I know her mom. Yeah.
Okay. We were really happy with her interview, very professional, very excited and enthusiastic to even be interviewing with us. She has some cool experience with her marketing degree and some projects that she's participated in, and she was really aware of everything that we were already doing, and had some really great ideas for some of the projects that we're going to task this intern for the summer. So we're really excited about that. So today we are looking to approve funding for the intern. Now we've had her submit her letter of interest to the Careers Here program with the county. However, as discussed at our finance committee meeting, there's a chance that we might not get the Careers Here funding because there's been a lot of interest with students. And there's a whole list of students ahead of Kaylee to potentially receive that funding. So I just wanted to get approval from the board that if in fact we cannot get that Careers Here funding, that we would fund this intern. So the total cost of that intern is $4,710, and that's for 350 hours at $12.50 an hour plus FICA. So does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns about that position?
And that pay scale and everything is consistent with what Pratt Northern or the Careers Here program would cover, right? So
Yep.
Just wanted to point that out.
We discussed this at the finance committee meeting and decided to move it forward. So that was our opinion on it.
I think, yeah, from my perspective, it's great. And there's already ideas of, and a plan for how to utilize this person's, which is very helpful going into the internship. So.
Yeah, and with my leave this summer, she'll be a huge help for Jenna and Cheyenne, just on some day-to-day items that need to get done.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve the funding if needed?
I'll make the motion.
I'll make it.
Okay, Darlene, I heard Darlene first. Ron, you want a second?
Sure.
A second from Ron. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Very excited about that.
All right, moving on with the discussion on funding for a home daycare training program in the county.
Yes. So we have been working on this collaborative project with a number of partners over the past month and a half. This is a time-sensitive project. However, the final draft of the program did not, I think we just received it at the end of last week. So we were not able to discuss this at our finance committee, but because it is time-sensitive, we wanted to bring it up at our board meeting today. So I have sent out the proposal to the finance committee to get some of their feedback and thoughts and just get them thinking about our potential funding for this program. So I'll give you a little bit of background. We started conversations back in February about childcare solutions in Lewis County. And Cassandra Buell with the planning department and myself were tasked by our county manager to look into various solutions. So we did a lot of benchmarking and looked at local data on the childcare needs. About a year ago, Hand in Hand actually did a survey with Lewis County Health System employees that showed that even though it was a small sample size, it showed that majority of the people who took the survey have kids, but family and friends were watching their children. So it wasn't any licensed in-home facility. It was just family and friends that were watching their children. So from the benchmarking and data collection, we came up with short-term and long-term solutions towards childcare. This past Monday, we hosted a roundtable session with some of our major employers, superintendents, and just some partners on how we can tackle these solutions. So the short-term solution was to come up with some sort of program to promote the creation of more in-home daycare providers in Lewis County. So we brought Jefferson Community College and the Community Action Planning Council, CAPC, to the table to come up with an incentivized program for students to become licensed in-home daycare providers. So that's where the North Country Regulated Home Daycare Training Boot Camp came from. This is a 3-year pilot program. The creation of this program happened in warp speed, like within a month. In a couple of meetings, we were able to come up with a really, comprehensive program. So from what we've heard, some of the barriers to becoming a licensed in-home provider is that first and foremost, the process is really daunting to take on by themselves. So when they get the application and the reading material, it's this thick and there's all these steps. And if you're just trying to do that on your own and you have kids of your own, it's a hard process to take on by yourself. So this program allows students to have the support that they need to get through that state process, plus some incentives to encourage them to become licensed. So going through, let me share my screen again. Going through, okay, you guys see that? Okay, so going through what the coursework would look like. Part 1 is solely focused on getting students licensed. So this includes an orientation, assistance with filling out the application, home visits and background checks that are required by the state, the health and safety training that is required by the state, as well as becoming the Small Business Development Center clients and starting basic entrepreneurial training. One of the, needs that CAPC noted was that a lot of in-home providers, they don't treat their business as a business when they should be. And obviously there's a lot of benefits in treating their in-home daycare as a business. So they go through that first part. They become licensed, they open their in-home facility. And as an incentive to doing so, that's where part 2 comes in. We continue their education with advanced entrepreneurial training through Jefferson Community College and enroll them in the Intro to Early Childhood Education 101 course, which is a 3-credit course. So this is something that they would get for free. And it's used as a stackable credentials. So if they want to continue their education, those credits count towards that. And also each year they have to complete, I believe, 15 hours of training to keep their license. So doing that course will take care of that 15 hours in that next year. So the goals and outcomes of this program as it stands today, as it stands in this proposal, in year one, we were hoping for 15 new in-home daycare providers. And then in year two, the plan was to bring in Jefferson County for year two and year three to kind of split the costs and open it up on a more regional level. However, just yesterday, we received notice that Jefferson County wants in for the first year. So that's something that we will talk about. So really, this is about filling a need for childcare spots. You know, we could fill up to or create 180 new childcare spots from this program. We're encouraging entrepreneurship, starting new businesses, and potentially job creation. And this course is allowing students to get those stackable credentials to continue their education if they want. So before I go into the financing need, is there any questions on the actual program itself? Okay.
There was, sorry, Brittany, but just one, I was just curious if, I mean, does BOCES still have a early childhood program, and were they in the discussion at all?
They do, and JCC and BOCES, they are trying to strengthen their relationship like on a different scale. So it has definitely been discussed that like students from the BOCES program, there needs to be that pipeline of workforce between the BOCES programs and any JCC workforce development program. So it's very possible that this program could be promoted to, graduates who want to continue their education and get this certificate to be able to start their business right out of high school. It's really what we were trying to encourage. It's not just about getting a job. It can also be about teaching these high school students entrepreneurship skills to be able to start their own business in that field as well. So yes, that's a huge potential for getting students into this program.
Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to the financing need. So if you look in the packet for the year one commitment, and this is with year one just being solely focused on Lewis County students, the ask from Jefferson Community College and CAPC is about $42,460. So that includes the coursework, administrative costs, the health and safety training, recruitment, orientation, marketing, things like that. So like I said earlier, yesterday, Jefferson County is now interested in participating in year one potentially. So other funding partners potentially could be Lewis County government, Jefferson County IDA, and there are a couple of grant funding sources that we could tap into for the future. So I have three options of how we could go about funding this in order to get this program up and running. First option is that we take the lead on this program implementation in year one. We commit as the IDA up to the $42,000 while we allow other organizations to organize their funding sources in order to get that program kicked off in June. It is a very tight timeline. Jefferson County is already working on the marketing and implementation, and everyone's just really excited for this program. So if we take the lead, that $42,000 wouldn't be paid out all at once. It would be on a reimbursement basis. So as Jefferson Community College or CAPC incur costs, they would essentially invoice us. Now, that 42,000, it might not add up to that amount at the end of the day. Because for example, in the budget, there's $9,000 allotted towards a childcare stipend. So that's another incentive for students. If they themselves have kids that they need to pay for daycare in order to take this program, there is a stipend for that. But if students don't take advantage of it, that's $9,000 that we don't have to pay for. So that 42,000 is really contingent on what incentives the students actually take advantage of. So that's option A. Option B is that we commit half of that while we wait for other funding sources to be solidified. This may or may not slow down the process. Again, I'm not sure what Jefferson County's timeline is. My hope is that we can just get this program up and running. We take the lead, and if Jefferson County wants to be involved, they will kind of hop on our timeline. So we're not waiting for them. So that's option 2. Option 3 is that we table any commitment until we solidify all funding sources for year 1 and potentially look for grants to pay for year 1. And essentially it would probably push back the program 6 months to a year. So my thought is that, if we fund it, it would be to essentially get this program going in June, and other funding sources will be sought in the future. And I think once word gets out about the program, there's going to be plenty of funding sources who are going to want to get on board. I'm thinking of like local foundations, and just there's other partners who have mentioned, yeah, I want to be a part of that, but they just don't have the funding available right now. So I want to open it up to all of you on the 3 funding options and what your thoughts are, and if you would be willing to fund it, or if you think we should wait for other funding sources to come through. Any thoughts, questions, comments?
I have one question. I don't know if it's relevant or not. Can you break out the administrative cost of this? Do you know what that is?
Administrative expense, 8,000. There's a coordination expense, which is about 5,600. So that is, they're actually hiring someone to coordinate like the orientation events and hold weekly office hours at the Lewis County Education Center.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So if we fund this for the first year, guys, Brittany, if we just do the whole thing, how many will these students or new entrepreneurs be left hanging if there's no funding the second year? Or will they be able to qualify and get on, at least a few of them that start the first year?
So I don't know if I understand your question, but each year would be a new cohort of students. And as far as leaving the program hanging, I don't think that is even an option. I think if we take the lead on funding it, it's to get the program going in year 1. And if Jefferson County wants student representation in year 1, they would essentially reimburse us because we would take the lead. And then in year 2 and year 3, that gives us a year to solidify funding for year 2 and year 3. That's where I think the county could come into play. The Workforce Development Institute, local foundations. There's a couple of grant programs that are out right now for applications on just community development initiatives within the North Country. So I think we have time to solidify funding sources, and I don't think the program will be left hanging. And a lot of this really contingent on the success of the first year too. So we could have a really good problem where we have 30 students who are interested in participating in year 1, or we could have 3. I mean, I don't anticipate that we would have 3, but year 2 and year 3 really is contingent on the success of year 1.
So a couple of thoughts on my end. I mean, I think I think the timeliness of moving forward is important. And it's a fair amount of money, but that's what we're here for. We're not here to sit on our money. We're here to invest it. And to me, we just finished the strategic planning process. So to me, it comes down to, does this fall within our strategic planning process and our priorities? And if so, then it's again, this is what we're here for, is to make these sort of investments in the community. Personally, I do think it falls within our strategic plan, and even reading our statement this morning about building a place to live, work, and play type of thing. I mean, this is very critical to that, especially when recruiting employees from outside of the area that don't have a local family member to provide childcare. So.
Yeah, and in looking at our strategic plan, I mean, it falls under a collaborative project, working on collaborative projects, encouraging entrepreneurship and starting new businesses / job creation, fulfilling that community need when we look to target individuals from out of the area to come and live, work, and build business here, and strategic funding for external and community investments.
In my mind, the need is great because, and I think that the virus has increased the need because school is sort of a little on the haphazard side here lately. I mean, I see this in all of my grandkids, and so I think the need is great. And I guess my question is if additional grant money and so on comes in, can that reduce our price or our commitment?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, like for example, I've talked with the Workforce Development Institute. They are a regional organization that has a lot of grant funding specifically for manufacturing, but he stated he should be getting non-manufacturing funds here soon, but he just doesn't have them now. So I think, yeah, there's certainly a lot of childcare funding in the pipeline on the federal and state level. Childcare is a priority. The state has announced that they will be doing their CFA process this summer, and there's going to be funding dedicated to childcare. So I think we could absolutely, even if it's JCC that's applying to create these programs like throughout the region, I think there's going to be a lot of funding for a program like this.
The other, I appreciate that. I would just remind folks that some grants can't be administered retroactively. So in some of these cases, they may be more helpful for year 2 and 3, but once we commit to spending money on year 1, some of these sources of funding we may not be eligible for because they don't allow you to be reimbursed. So to me, that's not a deal breaker, but I just want to remind people of that issue when it comes to grants. So I think, we move forward because it's needed and timely, and it's not something to sit on. If that's the decision that we make, then that's fine. And hopefully we still will get some contributions to lower that cost, but some of the potential contributions we could get in year 2 and 3 may not be available if we move forward and right now.
And I will add, we discussed like another incentive for students is like exploring opportunities to get equipment and materials and like toys and books, for these new in-home daycare providers, even if they need like in their homes, like say they have steps that need a railing, like could we could we fundraise funds in a different way to help pay for some of those things as well? Because again, something within their home might also be a barrier for them to become licensed. So those are just some other types of add-ons that we could potentially apply for grant funding or find funds from a different source to help in that way as well.
And adding on to Tom's point, it's not just that we've had a deficit in childcare providers for quite a while, but not only has the pandemic increased the need for that, it's also motivated some current ones to move towards retirement, which just further increases the shortfall.
And some of the need just from first-hand experiences, even just to have a backup for your backup for your backup because of quarantine situations and school closures and things like that. It's just an incredible need. I mean, I think I've been pretty fortunate, but there's still times where you're in a pinch.
But what's needed now? Which decision we like? Which option, I mean?
So the ask would be that the IDA take the lead on year one implementation and commit to up to $42,460. And again, that's up to amount.
So that
So-
would be, that's option one that Brittany discussed, to taking it on full.
I'm good with option one.
Fine with me.
Any other questions? So if that's the case, if I'm not hearing any other discussion points, then we would move forward with a motion to fund up to that amount for year one.
I'll make the motion.
Goggin, a second.
Ron,
Second.
Ron.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
aye.
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 All right, thank you, everyone. Motion carried.
Very exciting. We will definitely keep you all posted on the progress of that.
Okay, last item under items for approval is amend our bylaws, and that is based on our discussion the last few months of creating project-specific committees to kind of better utilize the skills of our board and in a committee structure. And based on Kevin's feedback, because this committee would be making official recommendations, it's not just an ad hoc committee, but it would be an official committee of our organization. So it needs to be included in our bylaws.
Yes, so at our governance committee meeting, we talked about committee structure and adding and on here, I apologize, this is ad hoc, but it would be a projects committee. And this is a committee that we would assign one board member as essentially the chair of that committee to be able to report back to the whole board. But this is a committee that would talk about any project that the IDA is involved in. So this could be property redevelopments, community development initiatives, workforce development initiatives, entrepreneurship programs, business retention programs, anything that we feel that we need board input on, we would hold a specific projects committee. And then what we had talked about is instead of assigning like 3 of the same board members, we would assign that one board member to be able to report out, and then anyone else who was interested or had an expertise or specific knowledge in the type of project that we're working on, you are more than welcome to be a part of those committee meetings. So we wanted to keep it flexible and kind of fluid and allow everyone on the board to be a part of that projects committee. So I added in to our bylaws, section 4, projects committee. And this was reviewed by Kevin and okayed by Kevin. So we're essentially just looking to amend our bylaws to add that projects committee.
And it would, if you, the idea with creating this is not to create more work for people. I mean, one of the discussion points was perhaps like finance and governance do not need to meet every month, particularly governance could be cut back. And that way, instead of, taking a project and trying that doesn't really fit in governance or finance and trying to, shoehorn it into one of our committees, we would, this project committee would allow for the folks on the board that have a true interest and expertise in that particular topic to be involved, but it would also have a timeline. So if that project ended, then the committee would kind of turn over. So as a board member, you knew more what you were getting involved in and for what period of time.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the finance committee, they would be reviewing the budgets and any IDA assisted transaction. So we would keep the pilots, the sale leaseback applications, things like that within the finance committee. Loan committee would continue to review any loan applications. Project committee is like we need expertise on the Lions sale property process. We need expertise on broadband. We need expertise on Lions Falls Mill site. So those types of projects would fall under the projects committee.
So with that, unless there's other questions or ideas or discussion, we would look to move forward with a motion to approve this update to our bylaws to officially recognize the projects committee. And not sure if there's someone's got to wait to ask a question or if waiting to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Mackenzie. Okay.
I'll
I'll second it.
So, Darlene second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so that wraps up the portion of the agenda of items needing approval. Then we would move into executive director's report and a couple committee update and just one item for discussion. So.
All right, so just a few updates from the past month. We continue to be involved in a number of collaborative projects that include the reuse and resale of the Glenfield and Fort Lyden schools with the Southwest Central School System. That's been a really interesting process, and I think each building has a lot of interest. No formal offers yet, but a lot of cool projects that we're hearing of. Also some, people that also want to maybe live in the schools, which isn't really ideal. So I think proposals are due the end of April, and the school will go through a review process. And I think the team on our end that's been involved will also be able to review some of those proposals as well. So hopefully some cool projects come out of those school buildings. We're also continuing to be involved in Lewis County Broadband Project. We did receive the results from DANK on the areas of need. The county is looking to start a task force to help guide implementation of broadband. Darlene has offered to be a part of that task force because of her background in IT at Copenhagen School. So I think she'll be a great resource as we move forward with that implementation. we have received a lot of press in the past month on the Lionsdale property redevelopment and the Smart Solar Growth Initiative. So with the Lionsdale property, we have officially received 6 letters of interest for people interested in purchasing that property. Projects range from light manufacturing to agricultural. So we are in the process of scheduling one-on-one sit-downs with each of those entities to kind of dig a little bit more on what the project is, what's the feasibility, and also to determine some evaluation criteria as we move forward to pick a project. I think this is a good problem to have, assuming that we pick one for that property. That's 5 other potential projects that we can help to facilitate in Lewis County. So are there other properties that could work for these other projects? So I think that's really exciting. It's been a really great process, and it's put us in contact with some cool projects that, again, we could help facilitate in other locations around the county. With our Smart Solar Growth Initiative, all of our landowner and developer resources are online. Cheyenne and I just did an interview with ABC 50 yesterday. Cheyenne sent a couple of different presentations. For example, she did a presentation on our UTEP with a group. What was it, Cheyenne? New York State Planning Department.
Yeah, it was a New York State Planners Association of some sort.
Yes. So she was able to do a presentation on our process. We just spoke with Jefferson County IDA yesterday on our process. So we're definitely gaining some traction. I think people are really interested in what we've been doing. So I think that's I had a phone interview with the radio the other day too with the Moose. That's going to start airing, I think, tomorrow. It's just so you hear my voice somewhere. But hopefully, we're hopeful that'll get to the farmers and get to the landowners. Yep. And we will be putting out some radio ads as well to let landowners know that these resources are available.
I just saw this morning that Lewis County Farm Bureau shared it on their Facebook page. So.
Oh, good. And thank you, Joe. I mean, you've sent these resources out to a lot of people around the state in your contact list. So I think that's definitely helped in just spreading the word about what we're doing. Thank you for that. And then last, CDBG Micro Enterprise Grant. All funds have been requested with the state. So we have 2 more checks that we're waiting on to disperse to 2 projects, and then we will look to close out that grant in May. And we are also in the process of applying for another $200,000 to replenish that grant fund. Any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, then. So the next, I don't believe we had anything on the list for correspondence. Committee reports, Tom already covered some of that. Was there anything else, Tom, that you wanted to mention?
I think that I've piecemealed the most of it.
We don't have Jerry with us today, so from a governance committee standpoint, I don't know if Darlene or Brittany or anyone wants to chime in. I mean, the main point of discussion was the committee structure.
Yeah, we primarily just focus on the committee structure, and we are still in the process of creating our Economic Development Advisory Council, is what we're going to call it. Where we're going to bring together business owners, CEOs, and business managers from different parts of the county to help advise us on economic development opportunities and investments, and also kind of to be a liaison between their own communities and our office so that we're all just in the know of what's going on all around the county. So still working on that. We're looking to implement by the end of the year. So we had a great discussion on that as well.
And that's on page 25 of the packet. And just to clarify, that's something that kind of came out of the strategic planning process as well, and aligns with that in terms of getting voices in a different capacity than just the board members. And as you know, as a board, we spend a fair amount of time on discussing things like pilots and some of the official IDA business, and don't always have time for some of these initiatives. Plus, this will just give us a chance to hear from a broader group of people in the business community in the county. And similar to our loan committee, we would look for one IDA board member to be involved in this as kind of a liaison, and involved in the discussions and also reporting back to the board here. All right, any questions there? If not, we're tracking pretty good, and we just the final thing was just how we'll move forward with our meetings as hopefully things open back up a little bit.
Yeah, so we would like to potentially get to in-person meetings for at least our board meetings starting in May. We can still continue on Zoom for committees. Just wanted to open it up to get everyone's perspective on if you would be willing to attend in person for our monthly board meetings.
Sure.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah,
I've had my vaccine. I'm good.
Sounds good.
And I think there'd be plenty of space at the JCC building too, in terms of the size room we'd have for our group. So
Yeah, and there's a max capacity of 15 in that room. So, and each person has to go through the regular health screening, I think temperature checks and signing in and wearing a mask, and we'll make sure all the desks are spaced out, using the whole room. So with that said, we will plan for in-person meeting at JCC on the East Road for our May 6th meeting.
all right. So anything else for the good of the order?
Nope, I don't. We just have our scheduled meetings on the agenda for this month. I don't believe we'll have a governance committee meeting again this month. We will have a finance committee in April. And then as far as the projects committee goes, I would like to schedule a meeting to discuss the Lionsdale property once we get through the sit downs with the 6 entities that submitted letters of interest. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Sounds good. All right. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Guy, second.
I'll second it.
Ron, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, we're officially concluded for the month.
Thank you, everyone.
Made it through without it.
Thank